The air was heavy with the thick scent of luxurious perfumed spilled wine, and a fear mingled with sweat. A father sat frozen in his place at the imperial table. A few hours earlier from the front row, he had watched his son's execution. The execution wasn't quick and professional. It was a spectacle. Now he was being forced to eat roasted exotic birds at the same table as the man who had ordered that execution. The emperor, whose name was Caligula, took a sip of his wine. His eyes were on the father's face, but in those eyes there was no lust, no anger, no madness. His eyes were clinical, curious. Like a surgeon studying a subject's reaction to a new procedure, he was examining the father's face. He was looking for a twitch of grief, an uncontrolled tear, a clenched jaw. He wanted to see if there was still a human piece left inside the father to be broken. The father played the most difficult role of his life. He smiled. He laughed at the emperor's joke while his son's blood was barely dry. Because he knew if he cried, if he dared to be human in that moment, he would be declaring that his remaining family would be the next victims. This was Caligula's ultimate work of art presented to Rome. This was not random cruelty, but a masterpiece. It was the pinnacle of a system where the human spirit's most fundamental bond, the love between parent and child, was severed, and love itself was turned into a weapon. This machine had not appeared overnight. It had been meticulously built with a lifetime of training. And the architect of this machine had learned his first lessons by watching his entire family be slaughtered. To understand how this story began, we must go back years before the bloody banquet hall to a Roman military camp. The year is 14 AD. A 6 or 7-year-old boy is running around among heavily armored, battle-hardened soldiers. His name is Gaius, but the soldiers call him Caligula, Little Boots, after the miniature legionary boots he wears. He is the son of Germanicus, Rome's greatest, most beloved general. The legions worship his father, and they adore this child, their mascot, their good luck charm. Caligula grows up enveloped in the love and admiration of the world's most powerful army. He believes he is invincible, untouchable. A year later, his father dies. The official story, an illness. The whisper, poison. On whose orders? Emperor Tiberius. From that moment, that bright childhood descends into a nightmare. The machine begins its work. Young Caligula watches from the front row as his family is systematically destroyed. His mother Agrippina the Elder is accused of treason, dragged from her home and left to die in exile. His eldest brother is arrested, thrown in a cell and starved until he dies, trying to eat the stuffing from his own mattress. His second brother is exiled to an island where he is tortured so severely by his guards that he eventually kills himself by smashing his head against the walls. Caligula watches it all. One by one, they are gone. By the time he is 19, he is the sole survivor of his entire glorious lineage. And then the call comes. The man who murdered his family, Emperor Tiberius, wants to see him. He invites him to his famous palace built on the cliffs of Capri. The House of Horrors. Caligula has no choice. This is not an invitation, it's a summons, a final destination. The 6 years he spends on Capri are his tyranny education. In Tiberius's paranoid, depraved, and cruel course, surrounded by astrologers and sycophants, he understands there is only one way to survive: to become invisible, to bury everything inside himself, the anger, the grief, the hatred, under a flawless mask. The historian Suetonius's chilling sentence summarizes this period. There never was a better servant or a worse master. He becomes everything Tiberius wants: obedient, entertaining, harmless. Everyone thinks he is a fool, a harmless young man broken by his family's tragedy. But Caligula is not just surviving. He is learning. He is watching. He is taking notes. He is analyzing how Tiberius's instinctive raw cruelty works, how fear paralyzes people, how suspicion shatters even the strongest families Tiberius has given him, the curriculum for tyranny. In 37 AD, when Tiberius dies, some say Caligula smothered him with a pillow, That 19-year-old hostage is now the most powerful person on Earth. Rome goes wild with joy. The dark era of Tiberius is over. The golden boy, the son of the beloved Germanicus, has returned. There are 100 days of celebration in the streets. The Senate breathes a sigh of relief. No one has any idea that they have just crowned a man who spent the last 6 years taking private lessons from Rome's greatest monster on how to break people. And for 7 months, Caligula plays the role of the perfect emperor everyone expected. He cuts taxes, releases political prisoners, and stages magnificent games. Rome adores him. Then, the mysterious illness comes. A burning fever confines him to his bed. He lingers on the brink of death for weeks. Court doctors record fevers higher than a human could survive violent convulsions and delirious episodes where he claims to be speaking with Jupiter. Rome holds its breath in fear, praying for him. And when he finally wakes up, he is not the person who fell asleep. Whatever happened in those feverish days, the last human piece inside him has been burned to ash. The obedient servant mask he wore on Capri has melted away, revealing the cold, methodical machine perfected by 6 years of training. The hope of Rome is dead. Caligula has been born. The machine begins to work slowly and methodically, not randomly, but intentionally. Caligula's goal is not simply to kill or torture. His goal is to systematically destroy the fundamental pillars of Roman society, everything that holds it together. Honor, family, religion, love. The machine's first target is ideology. He seizes religious authority. He orders that the heads of all the god statues in Rome be cut off and replaced with his own likeness. This is not simple ego. This is rewriting the answer to the question, what is sacred? If Caligula is a living god, his actions are divine will and cannot be questioned. Next, his favorite sister Drusilla dies. Caligula uses this not as a tragedy, but as an opportunity. He doesn't just mourn, he weaponizes grief. He has the Senate declare Drusilla a goddess with temples dedicated to her. And then he imposes his own personal grief on the entire empire. He declares a national mourning. But this is no ordinary mourning. Laughing is a capital crime. Bathing is a capital crime. Eating dinner with your family is a capital crime. Pause and imagine that for a moment. Imagine a city where, for weeks, perhaps months, a child's laugh is not heard. Imagine a father struggling not to laugh at his child's innocent joke, knowing that a single moment of joy could cost his entire family their lives. Caligula has made happiness illegal. He has conquered the emotional realm. The machine's second target is the backbone of Rome, the concept of honor. And he does this by using the economy. Caligula establishes the most horrific business in history right inside the imperial palace, a public brothel. But the workers in this brothel are not common prostitutes. They are the sons and daughters of Rome's noblest families, of the senators who govern provinces and command legions. This is not the sexual fantasy of a madman. This is a management strategy. Caligula sends heralds into the streets of Rome to announce the prices. So much for married women. So much for single women, a special rate for the virgin daughters of senators. And the most terrifying part is the bureaucracy. Caligula keeps ledgers. Every transaction is meticulously recorded. Name date, duration, act, degree of apparent cooperation. This is human dignity filed with the precision of a tax return. If you are a Roman aristocrat, your entire identity is built on your family honor, your lineage. Your name is everything. Now your daughter's name is written in an accounting ledger as an item of income, and you can do absolutely nothing about it. The machine is now warmed up. It is time to sever the social bonds. Those famous banquets begin. The scene we began with becomes a nightly ritual. Caligula invites Rome's elite to the palace. It is an honor, but it is also a command. He walks among the tables. He inspects the women. Like inspecting a horse or a slave, he checks their teeth, their hair. He chooses one. He comes to your table. He takes your wife by the hand and leads her away. The room does not fall silent. On the contrary, everyone starts talking louder, laughing more artificially, because silence means acknowledging what is happening. Silence means taking a stance, and taking a stance means death. You wait. 20 minutes. 30. When he finally brings her back, he doesn't leave the room. He sits at your table, and in front of everyone, your rivals, your friends, your colleagues, he begins to describe in clinical detail with jokes what just happened. Her performance, and you laugh. You nod. You thank him. In that moment, Caligula has not just violated your wife. He has destroyed you. He has stripped you in front of everyone who matters of everything that makes you a man, a Roman. Your ability to protect your family, your authority, your honor. And in doing so, he has made everyone else in that room an accomplice, because they too saw it and stayed silent. The next day in the Senate, when you look at each other, you are all witnesses to each other's shame. The social fabric is irreparably torn. Now only one final target remains for the machine. The most basic, most instinctive bond, the love between a parent and a child. This is the machine's masterpiece, the mourning father scene. Caligula begins executing people not just for treason, but because he is bored or angry or just wants to see what will happen. And he develops his new protocol. If he executes a man's son, the father must watch. But that's not enough. He invites that father immediately after the execution to the banquet at the palace that very night. The father has one job: to act normal. While his son's blood is still dripping from the executioner's sword, the father must eat, drink wine, and laugh at the emperor's jokes. Caligula watches him. He never takes his eyes off him. He looks for a twitch of grief, an uncontrollable tear. Because if the father breaks down, Caligula will know he has only taken his son. But if the father smiles, Caligula will know he has taken his soul. Caligula has transformed love from a source of solace into a tool of terror. To love someone now means to give the emperor a weapon to use against you. For 4 years, this machine works flawlessly. It turns Rome, that glorious empire, into a nightmare of atomized individuals, paralyzed by fear, stripped of honor, and trusting no one. But this seemingly perfect machine has a fatal flaw. The system is designed to work on rational actors. That is, on senators who have things to lose: property, status, family life, and who will choose survival over honor. Caligula makes the mistake of applying this psychological torture model to the wrong target, an irrational man, a soldier. His name was Cassius Chaerea. He was a senior officer in the Praetorian Guard, the emperor's personal bodyguards. He was not a senator. His currency was honor, discipline, and military respect. Chaerea had a physical quirk that Caligula found endlessly amusing: a high-pitched voice. Caligula, true to his nature, couldn't leave it alone. Every day, new jokes, new taunts. When it was Chaerea's turn to ask for the daily password, this is a serious military protocol done in front of all the other guards. Caligula would give him deliberately effeminate or sexual passwords like Venus or Priapus. The other soldiers would snicker. For Caligula, this was throwaway humor, not even worth remembering. For Chaerea, every joke was a drop of poison. Caligula had made a miscalculation. A senator could rationalize this humiliation to save his family. But Chaerea was a soldier, a man trained for violence. And Caligula was teaching him every single day that life under this emperor was dishonorable. He had left him with nothing to lose. You should never corner something that can kill you. January 24th, 41 AD. Caligula is moving through a narrow underground passageway, connecting the theatre to the palace. He is in a good mood. Chaerea and a group of conspirators awaiting Chaerea steps forward as usual to ask for the password. Caligula, utterly unsuspecting, utterly confident in his invincibility, gives one last contemptuous, mocking reply. It is the last thing he ever says. Cherea shouts, "Take this," and plunges his sword under Caligula's ribs. In that narrow corridor, there is nowhere to run. The conspirators fall upon him. According to the sources, 30 stab wounds. 4 years of accumulated rage, humiliation, and terror unleashed in 60 seconds of frenzied violence. The monster was dead. And this is where things get even worse. The assassins don't stop with Caligula. The machine, even with its operator dead, continues to run. They find his wife, Caesonia. She pleads, she screams. They stab her to death. Then they find the nursery. Caligula's daughter, Julia Drusilla, is 2, maybe 3 years old. A soldier picks her up, and as she cries for her mother, he smashes her head against a marble wall. There must be no heir left. No one to grow up and seek revenge. For a few hours, Rome breathes. The Senate convenes. They begin to talk. Some want to restore the Republic, to get rid of emperors entirely, to go back to the old ways. For the first time in generations, there is a real debate about what Rome should be. And then, the Praetorian Guard, the army that upholds the system, makes a decision. While the Senate talks, the guards are looting the palace. One of them hears a noise from behind a curtain. He pulls it back and finds a man hiding, trembling, a middle-aged man who stutters and walks with a limp, Claudius Caligula's uncle. The family embarrassment, the fool everyone thought was harmless, possibly brain damaged. The guard looks at him and he doesn't see a fool. He sees a new emperor. The Praetorians carry Claudius on their shoulders to their camp. They proclaim him emperor. And while the Senate is still debating the future of the Republic, the army has already made its decision. Caligula's death had removed a man, not the system. That is the real horror. Not that one man was a monster, but that the machine he built continued to work without him. Nero, Domitian, Commodus. They would all read the handbook Caligula had written. Caligula had shown every future tyrant how the entire mechanism of a state, its laws, its army, its economy, could be converted into a personal tool of psychological warfare, and handbooks once written are never truly lost.